are the top stories at this hour. More than 1,000 dead after dengue outbreak in Bangladesh. Death toll increases to 13 after nightclub fire in Spain. Plus, 11 killed, 14 wounded after crisis in Abyei market, South Sudan. Welcome to the World News on VOP TV. I'm Kayla Abraham. More than 1,000 persons in Bangladesh have died of dengue fever since the start of the year in what has been recorded as the country's worst outbreak of the mosquito-borne disease. Figures from the country's Directorate General of Health Services published on Sunday night disclosed that 1,006 people had died among more than 200,000 confirmed cases. The agency's former director, Birnazi Ahmed, stated that the number of deaths so far this year was higher than every previous year combined from 2000, when Bangladesh recorded its first dengue outbreak. World Health Organization Chief Tedros Adhanom stated that last month the outbreak was putting huge pressure on the health system in Bangladesh. Dengue is a disease endemic to tropical areas that causes high fevers, headaches, nausea, vomiting, muscle pain, and in the most serious cases, bleeding that can lead to death. Now, 5 people who were missing and feared dead in a nightclub fire in the city of Murcia, southeast Spain, have been located on Monday. The death toll in the country's worst nightclub fire in 33 years stands at 13, with 24 people injured. Francisco Jimenez, the national government representative in the southeastern region of Murcia, told state television that no further bodies had been found and that there was no longer anyone missing. Firefighters and police continue to search the damaged premises for clues as to how the fire started on Sunday in the city of Murcia. They also worked to secure the interior of the building to avoid a possible collapse. Spanish state news disclosed that the blast started around morning time in the nightclub and spread to 2 others nearby. All the bodies were found in the first nightclub. The city council declared 3 days of mourning with flags flown at half-staff on public buildings. It was the deadliest nightclub fire in Spain since 43 people were killed in Zaragoza in 1990. The Abyei Special Administrative Area Minister of Information has stated that armed youth suspected to be from Warab State's Twig County attacked Ninquek Market in Abyei, Sudan, killing 10 civilians and wounded 14 persons over the weekend. One of the aggressors is suspected to have died during the attack. Information Minister Bolkok told reporters on Sunday that the assailants attacked Ninquek at 7 p.m. on 30 September, 1 week after a similar attack on Anthony Village. According to Kok, the incident happened 1 week after suspected youth from Warab, backed by armed Nuer youth from Ajakwek Payam of Twig County, attacked Anthony Village. He also stated that no one was killed or injured in that attack. The minister further accused armed Twig youth of several attacks. He revealed that the security situation has normalized after the attacks, but that the youth in Abyei are not happy and want to retaliate. Minister Kok, the local government is working to cool tempers and discourage retaliatory attacks, but blamed social media users for inciting the conflict. He cited one Mayor Cheer, a youth from Twig County domiciled in America, for encouraging Twig youth to attack Abyei 3 days before the attack. He blamed the United Nations Interim Security Forces in Abyei for not adequately protecting civilians, saying that they came after the incident and only made reports. Meanwhile, Simon Agwek, the Twig County Commissioner, denied that armed youth from his area were responsible for the attack in Abyei. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has warned that soaring rates of severe malnutrition, acute hunger, and deteriorating health conditions are threatening the lives and well-being of millions of people in South Sudan, with the situation set to worsen as the climate crisis kicks in. The United Nations reports 6.3 million South Sudanese are suffering from acute hunger, and more than 9 million of the country's population of 12 million people depend on humanitarian assistance. As conditions continue to deteriorate, the World Health Organization reports 500,000 more people this year will need international aid. Among the most vulnerable are the children. Now, the roof of a church collapsed in northern Mexico during a mass on Sunday has killed more than 9 persons, injuring around 50 as searchers probed in the wreckage late into the night looking for survivors and other victims. Officials disclosed that approximately 30 parishioners were believed to have been trapped in the rubble when the roof caved in. Searchers crawled under the roof slabs and officials brought in dogs to help search for possible survivors. The Tamaulipas State Police stated that about 100 people were in the church at the time of the collapse. The state security spokesman's office disclosed late on Sunday that 9 people had been confirmed dead from the collapse, which it described as likely being caused by a structural failure. Tamaulipas State Police mentioned the units of the National Guard, the State Police, and the State Civil Defense Office and the Red Cross were involved in the operation. Bishop Jose Armando Alvarez, the Roman Catholic Diocese of Tampico, stated that the roof caved in while parishioners were receiving communion at the Santa Cruz Church in the Gulf Coast city of Ciudad Madero next to the port city of Tampico. The diocese later posted a list of about 50 people who had been hospitalized as a result of the accident. They included a 4-month-old baby, 3 children, 5-year-olds and 2 9-year-olds. There was no immediate information on their conditions. Meanwhile, a huge fire broke out early on Monday in the police headquarters in Egypt, injuring more than 38 persons, according to Hossam Abdel Ghaffar, a spokesperson for Egypt's health ministry. The blaze ripped through the multi-story police headquarters in the Suez Canal province of Ismaila. He disclosed that 12 of the injured were treated at the site, while 26 others were taken to hospitals, all but 2 suffering from breathing difficulties, and 7 of the injured were treated and discharged. It was not immediately clear how many police were in the building, which was severely damaged by the fire at the time of the blaze. Videos circulated on social media showing flames and black smoke pouring from the building. The cause of the blaze was not immediately known. Rights groups say that the use of torture by the Egyptian authorities is so widespread and systematic as to amount to crime against humanity. In a report submitted to the UN Community Against Torture, 6 groups spoke of beatings, electric shocks, sexual violence, and denial of access to medical care by members of the security services. They stated that the torture has been used as a political tool to curtail dissent. The new chairman of the United States Senate Foreign Relations Committee, Ben Cardin, has threatened to block U.S. military aid to Egypt if Cairo did not take concrete steps to improve its record on human rights. During his decade-long rule, Egypt's President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has overseen a crackdown on dissent. Now, the Democratic Republic of Congo opposition leader Martin Fayulu confirmed on Saturday that he will submit his candidacy for the December presidential election, where he is expected to be one of the main challengers to the president, Felix Tshisekedi. The 66-year-old former ExxonMobil executive came second to Tshisekedi in the contentious 2018 election. His party, the Engagement for Citizenship and Development Party, the African Union, and Congo's influential Catholic Church questioned the outcome, and Fayulu challenged the results in court. Since then, he has remained a vocal critic of Tshisekedi's presidency, threatening to boycott the December 20 ballot in protest at alleged fraud linked to the voter list, a decision he now says would have played into his opponent's hand. In an effort to allow greater scrutiny, his party is pushing for election results to be announced by polling station, unlike the 2018 vote, which pre-election polls had predicted Fayulu would win by a landslide. Now, the Central Weather Administration has stated that a sea warning for Typhoon Koyunu might be issued late on Monday, followed by a land warning on Tuesday afternoon, as the storm appears on track to become the 2nd typhoon to make landfall this year. The agency disclosed that the storm's outer radius is to begin affecting Taiwan proper from early on Wednesday, bringing heavy rains to the east coast, Hengchun Peninsula, and mountainous regions. CWA forecaster Guan Xingping stated that Koyunu has over the past 6 hours expanded and strengthened into a moderate typhoon. Guan added conditions are forecast to be poor on the east coast and Hengchun Peninsula on Wednesday and Thursday, but it is up to local government to decide whether to call it a typhoon day. Now, Indonesian president has inaugurated Southeast Asia's first high-speed railway as it was set to begin commercial operations, a key project under China's Belt and Road Infrastructure Initiative that would drastically reduce the travel time between two key cities. Joko Widodo has championed the 142-kilometer railway, which was issued its official operating license from the Transportation Ministry on Sunday. The $7.3 billion project connects Jakarta with Bandung, the heavily populated capital of West Java province, and will cut travel time between the cities from the current 3 hours to about 40 minutes. Its use of electrical energy is expected to reduce carbon emissions. Widodo, in his opening remarks, officially named Indonesia's first high-speed railway, the fastest in Southeast Asia, with speed of up to 350 km per hour, as Wush from Waktu Hemat, Operasi Optimal, System Handal, which means time-saving, optimal operation, reliable system in Indonesian language. Widodo, along with other high-ranking officials, rode Wush from its first station, Halim in eastern Jakarta, to Bandung's Badalarang station, one of the line's 4 stations located about 30 kilometers from the central area of Bandung. Now, European Union foreign ministers have gathered in Kiev for a meeting that EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell and Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba hailed as historic as Russia continued its deadly artillery attacks on civilian settlements in Ukraine's south. Kuleba also welcomed the gathering, which he stated was taking place within the bloc's future borders. Ukraine was granted EU candidate member status in June last year, a month after the start of Russia's unprovoked invasion. But the negotiations process is expected to take years before Kiev can join the 27-member bloc. The meeting in Kiev came just hours after Russia overnight launched fresh artillery strikes in Kherson, killing more than 1 person and wounding several others, including children, and damaging an Orthodox cathedral in the southern Ukrainian city. Meanwhile, further military funding from Kiev has been excluded from a last-minute budget deal in Washington. President Joe Biden reassured Ukraine the U.S. would continue to support its war effort against Russia despite the temporary measure that was pushed through Congress to avoid a government shutdown. Funding for Ukraine has become increasingly politicized in the U.S., with hardline Republicans arguing they do not want to write a blank check for Kiev. Biden and the Democrats argue Washington has a duty to help Ukraine resist the invasion launched by Russian President Vladimir Putin. Otherwise, they warn autocrats would be emboldened in the future. Doubts now hung over U.S. military assistance, with repercussions on the ground feared thousands of kilometers away. Ukraine is already concerned about the possible re-election of Donald Trump, who has previously praised Putin. Democrats stated on Saturday they expected a separate measure on aid to Ukraine in the coming days. Now, a Turkish Interior Ministry statement on Sunday has disclosed that some 20 targets of Kurdistan Workers' Party PKK group were destroyed in the aerial operation, including caves, shelters, and depots. The statement disclosed that the military ramped up airstrikes in Iraq's PKK bases in Gara, Kirkuk, Metina, and Kandil. The strikes came hours after a suicide bomber detonated an explosive device near an entrance of the Interior Ministry building in Ankara, injuring 2 police officers. A second assailant was killed in a shootout with police. A media outlet close to PKK disclosed that the group claimed responsibility for the suicide attack. From time to time, the Turkish military carries out airstrikes on PKK positions, which is listed as a terrorist group by the EU, US, and Turkey. The Turkish military is said to have more than a dozen military bases in northern Iraq and many more in Syria under the pretext of fighting PKK terrorism. Now, Kosovo Prime Minister Albin Kurti has blamed Serbia on Monday for plans to annex the country's northern territories, citing a recent deadly attack by a Serbian armed group on Kosovo police as part of the scheme. Kosovo on Sunday posted footage and photos showing the armed group trained in Pasicanje Livade, one of the Serbian army key bases. 4 days prior to the attacks, exercises were held at the Kopinac base. The attacks were fully supported and planned by the Serbian state. According to Interior Minister Sela Skleka, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić, Defense Minister Milos Vučetić, and Army Chief of Staff Milan Mosilovic were all directly involved in the attack. Vučetić and Mosilovic will hold a press conference in the Serbian capital Belgrade to respond to the Kosovo allegations. On September 24, a clash broke out in the village of Banska in northern Kosovo near the Serbian border when a group of armed Serbs blocked a bridge with 2 trucks. A shootout erupted after the group opened fire on police, leaving 1 police officer dead and another injured. A large number of security forces were dispatched to the region, and Brnac borders crossing between Kosovo and Serbia was closed. Now, Tuareg-dominated separatist groups stated on Saturday that they have inflicted heavy losses on the Malian military in an attack in the center of the troubled West African country. The rebels initially disclosed that they had counted 98 dead soldiers, but later revised the figure to 81. The claim came in statements from the Permanent Strategic Framework, which is dominated by the Coordination of Azawad Movement (CMA), an alliance of predominantly Tuareg groups seeking autonomy or independence from the Malian state. The rebels also said they had wounded dozens of soldiers, taking 5 prisoners while losing 7 of their own fighters. The claims made by rebels and all sides involved in the fighting are difficult to verify because of the remoteness of the affected areas. Access to independent sources is complicated by the conflict. The Malian army had only acknowledged an assault on one of its camps in Diora in the Mopti region on Thursday without giving further details. Despite the official information blackout, images and claims linked to the incident quickly spread online. If confirmed, it would mark the CMA's most southerly operation since it resumed attacks against the Malian army in the north of the country at the end of August. The north of Mali has seen a resumption of hostilities by the CMA and an intensification of jihadist attacks against the Malian army. Operations have targeted several army positions. The upsurge coincides with the ongoing withdrawal of the UN Stabilization Force, MINUSMA, which has been pushed out by the ruling junta. Mali's junta, which seized power in 2020, faces a multitude of security challenges throughout the poor and landlocked country. The military rulers also pushed a French anti-jihadist force to leave last year. Politically and militarily, it has turned to Russia. Many observers claim that it has enlisted the services of the Wagner mercenary group despite its constant denials. The junta has made the restoration of sovereignty over the entire country one of its mantras and claims to be reversing the security trend. However, various experts are reporting a deterioration in the situation in a country that has been plunged into turmoil since 2012. Now, the UN Security Council is on Monday expected to vote on a resolution that would see an international force led by Kenya deployed to Haiti to quell a surge in gang violence. The 15-member council is set to develop the framework for and authorize a 1-year deployment of the force with a review after 9 months. If approved by the UN, Kenya will deploy 1,000 police officers to Haiti by January next year. The Bahamas, Jamaica, and Antigua and Barbuda have said they will take part in the mission. The force will help train Haitian police and rebuild vital infrastructure which has been overrun by criminal gangs. The U.S. has pledged $100 million, which is equivalent to 82 million euros, to support the mission. Haiti has suffered from gang violence for decades, but the current wave of brutality escalated after the July 2021 assassination of President Jovenel Moise. Gangs have taken control of large parts of the country, waging terror on residents and killing hundreds. Now, Senegal's Navy says it has intercepted 4 boats over 3 days with more than 600 persons on board. They were attempting the treacherous crossing to Spain's Canary Islands, a gateway to Europe. Footage on social media on Saturday showed other would-be migrants jumping off a boat that had run aground in Senegal's coastal city of St. Louis. Witnesses said a wind forced them back and they wanted to avoid arrest by the Navy, which has stepped of patrols. At the end of July, the government put forward a 10-year plan to combat irregular migration, including stronger border management. According to the UN's International Organization for Migration, IOM, since early 2023, at least 140 migrants attempting the Atlantic crossing have died or gone missing. In August alone, more than 2,690 persons made it to the Canary Islands from Senegal and Morocco. According to migration statistics, it stated that it is more than double the number of arrivals in the same month last year. Gabon's new strongman was greeted by the Congo's Prime Minister upon arrival on Sunday at Olombo International Airport. He then met with President Denis Nguesso. Oligui stated his visit was aimed at improving the ties and easing Gabon's international isolation following the coup. The talks were held near Oyoth, in central Congo. Gabon was suspended from the African Union and the Economic Community of Central African States after the change of government. ECOWAS has also ordered the immediate transfer of its headquarters from Gabon's Libreville to Equatorial Guinea capital Malabo. The Congo president did not trust reporters after the talks, but his foreign minister Jean-Claude Kagasso hailed Oligui as a man of humility and reconciliation. Reports from Madagascar says the security forces have fired tear gas against opposition candidates who were leading a protest in the capital, Antananarivo. It comes amid rising tensions ahead of presidential elections next month. 11 of the 13 presidential candidates had urged the supporters to march towards the city's central square to protest against what they described as an institutional coup in favor of the incumbent André Rajoelina. But reporters are stating that the security forces dispersed the crowd before it reached its destination. And that's it on the world news on VOP TV. VOP Business Show is coming up next. I am Kayla Abraham.